everyone, I'm Michael.
And I'm Justin, and we're American expats living full-time in Italy. Welcome to our YouTube channel, Prego Italia, living our Italian dream. Come along and join in on our fun adventures.
You're not going to want to miss what we have in store today.
Please hit like and subscribe. Thank you very much. So, welcome as we enjoy our Italian-style breakfast. Speaking of, if you're coming from America, for instance, as we're expat Americans, as you know, and you think breakfast, you might be like, oh, let's go to Denny's, let's go to IHOP or that type of...
Let's have scrambled eggs.
And that big old breakfast. If you're looking for that type of restaurant or something like that in the morning in Italy, you're hard-pressed to find it. You're not going to find a Denny's or an IHOP or even mom-and-pop places doing that. However, some hotels you will find will make an English breakfast catered to, if you're familiar with the tomatoes and sausage and different things included.
That's going to be in the summer and the high season.
And omelets that we've heard are available then too.
Yes.
But when you're in Italy, when in Rome, right? No, be an Italian and explain what Italians eat for breakfast.
Okay, so for the Italian breakfast, we've already halfway devoured ours, but we do have pictures.
We'll show a picture.
They have a pastry called cornettis.
Similar to a croissant.
Yes, similar, and they can be either filled with absolutely nothing, or you can have marmalade or cream or chocolate in them, Nutella. They're just,
tons of varieties.
They're absolutely amazing. They're delectable, and that is the Italian staple.
Cornetto and plural cornetti.
And then obviously, you know, you have
cappuccino. Oh my God, they have cafe americano if you want, but why bother? Delicious cappuccinos, espressos.
I think if you're in Italy, and let's face it, who doesn't have a sweet tooth, right?
Celebrate that.
Go ahead and indulge in the sweets because
just
everybody
one.
else
It's not like we eat a dozen. It's not like eating a box of donuts or something you could, but you just have one and enjoy it. Pick your favorite. Look in the pastry shelf and just pick whatever you like. There's tons of Italian pastries, and this is the time when everybody enjoys them. So, when in Rome.
In this video, we are going to be addressing a few questions that we decided it was better to address now rather than waiting and letting this channel grow and then awkwardly having to come back to them. So we are going to address the issue of residency. Please keep in mind that this is different for different circumstances, but we're going to go very lightly into our process.
Everybody's different. For instance, everybody says when how did you move to Italy? How do you just pick up and do that? Well, in a nutshell, everybody has a different way to do it, a different situation. Mine is called Jure Sanguinis, which is the Latin term. It's by bloodline, through proving Italian heritage line unbroken. And let me explain that. I guess if you're talking to Italian, by the way, you would refer to it as cittadinanza, which is citizenship. Because Jure Sanguinis obviously is a Latin term, but that's like the legal term for the situation. That would be, there are plenty of helpful resources. I know there's Facebook groups and things online for U.S. Italian dual citizenship that kind of can help you further through the process, or there's services available. I did a DIY through a lot of research and work. So what you have to do is, if you suspect that you have potentially unbroken Italian roots, that would be going back as far back, great grandparent, someone that left Italy and immigrated to America, for instance, or any other country, and didn't become a citizen there before their next child was born in your line. If they stayed, for instance, in alien status, moving to America, and they had a child in America, and they were not naturalized, that child is the next route to your direct line, then you most likely qualify for dual citizenship. If they naturalize, and if I said that right, excuse me, neutral, natural, tomato, pardon me, if they renounced their citizenship from Italy, for instance, and became an American and then had the child in your line, unfortunately, that kind of breaks your chain. Please check, of course, with professional attorneys and services. So that situation enables you to go back through your roots, prove with a birth certificate you track down, yes. For instance, mine would be my great-great-grandfather from Italy through my mother's side. And then that gets, speaking of mother, there's 1948 laws and stuff, so if it's off the female side or the male side further. So mine goes off my mother's father's side, even though her mother was Italian too. I chose the father's side because it's an easier chain unbroken due to female rights before 1948. That's its own thing. So it's a complicated thing for each individual.
It is very complicated.
And it is different, and I urge you to look deeply into it. For my situation coming here, I had to get all of my documents before I came, which were the birth certificate going back to Sicily, for instance, is a town in Sicily. So I had tracked down a needle in a haystack, and it's work, so be prepared. You can hire people to do it, I guess, or just if you're a detective type, it's going to be fun. So you track down the actual birth certificate at the comune, and there's like over 8,000 communes in Italy. So if you have any any realization of where part did they come through, it's going to be a fun game. So you track down the comune they were born in. You get their birth certificate, you get their marriage certificate and their death certificate. And their death, marriage possibly happened in the U.S. or another country, but you must get their birth certificate from Italy, documented from that comune. You have that as your root. You get the spouse information, etc., the marriage, and then you go to the next level, which would be, for instance, my case, my great-great-grandfather who was born in America. You get their birth, you get their marriage, and you get their death. And then their spouse, it gets complicated. If you're applying through a consulate, you would need the chain of the spouses too. It's a little different applying in Italy. So it's a whole process, but we're going to explain it here as quick as we can. And then, like I said, each relative down in your family tree root on the root you pick. So like great-grandfather. And then from there, for instance, my it goes, my root would be great-great, then great-grandfather, then my grandfather, and then I get all their information. As I mentioned, each one is very detailed on the birth certificate, the marriage certificate, and the death certificate. Then the next chain goes to my mother, for instance. And my mother will be coming here in Italy and applying for her little dual citizenship as well, along with my chain with the same documentation. And then it would be my mom, and obviously we have my dad's birth certificate, and they're still living. Then it goes to me. Okay, and then you would go to, if you have minor children, they would qualify as well. So you'd get their information. And divorces, you would have to get, your divorce decree. So there's a lot of documentation you must provide. Then you must have all that documentation translated in Italian, and you can choose to do it. If you're applying in Italy, you can have someone in Italy do it, and they go to their local court and get officially court stamped. That's for applying in Italy. It is a different process if you're applying at a consulate in America. You need to have a whole different procedure, and I urge you to read online about that through the translation approved by the consulate.
Now let me say one thing here, just sorry to cut you off, but one thing that I would say, it worked out for us, is if you are trying to do all of your Jure Sanguinis in America, after you get all of your paperwork and everything like that, which I would suggest doing while you're in America.
But waiting for your appointment can take years. You have to wait for an appointment at a consulate in Los Angeles, for instance, because each region has a consulate in charge. It could literally be years, I think, years before you get your appointment.
In Italy...
You have to live here, though.
You have to live here, but if you are planning on living here, it is much quicker.
And it's logical. I mean, you don't come here for a vacation. It's not, citizenship vacation. You live here. This can take, anywhere from 3 months to 9 months or whatever. When it is, it is. And you must actually legitimately, like we do, we're moving here anyway and applying. The police actually come to your house within the first 45 days, check that you're living there. It's not like, I'm going to go on vacation and apply. Oh, how fun. This is a commitment, and it's one we're happy we chose to do.
Yes, and I will say that for me, it was actually one of the easiest things.
We're legally married.
Yes, we're legally married.
US.
So his getting Jure Sanguinis was actually complicated. And me, I just sort of sat back and went with it.
Well, what he means is complicated is, needle in a haystack, searching for the documents. It's tiring, and the support of your spouse is appreciated.
And then I don't have, I'm a non-EU spouse, and so for me it was very, very, it was a different process. The one thing I did want to say, a lot of people have this misnomer idea that once the Italian spouse comes over, they're going to start the process, and anything over 90 days, the non-EU spouse is going to have to go back to America. That is not the case.
Actually, too, that was interesting. The non-Italian, if you have the Italian roots and qualify, then you're considered Italian at birth, and you're just reclaiming. So it's not just, I'm going on vacation. I'm getting my citizenship. Please don't have that in your state of mind, because that's not how it works. The police actually come to your house, they check, you have 45 days for the police to come and say, do you live here? It's not like it's something invasive. The government's coming, they just kindly come over, hi, and we had one that was actually nice. He spoke English, really nice. And he was, why did you leave California? It was very cute. And, they're very friendly when they come over. It's just procedural to mark that you live here. That's another thing. We own. Some people you could have a lease and everything like that. So we can speak to you on the fact that we purchase. So we own this home. It's not like we leased it from an Italian. You have to lease the whole year lease. It's not like you're just going to be like, I'm going to rent Airbnb and get my citizenship. It does not work that way. Mm-hmm. So we own. And they came, and this was our house. We live here. We didn't have a house in America. It's like, we live here now. We're Italians. So our residency came from that, because we officially came and said, we are living in Italy, so we need residency. This is our home. And we will stay. We are obviously same-sex couple. We are legally married in the United States. It's recognized here in Italy as I guess you'd say, a civil union.
No. What? So we have the same rights. We have a friend that will actually be on a future video, and he had said that it's actually a unique situation. What we have is, if we had got married in Italy, then it would have been considered a civil union. However, since we are married legally in America, that title and all of the legalities of being legally married come over to Italy with us, and we are no longer just civil partners, but we are a married couple, because we bring that over from a country that has legally recognized
Italians married in Italy, same-sex, would be recognized as a civil union, but they share many of the same rights as the married. That's its own thing, but we can't speak of that because that's not our situation. But and speaking of also, we will share. It has been very gay-friendly here. We will share that with you if you're other same-sex couples and stuff. It's wonderful. We have in the 5 months we've lived here, everybody is very warm and welcoming in Italy, and even in southern Italy of Calabria that we've encountered.
Yes.
And very engaging and very kind, and that's what makes you feel right at home. Back to residency. So as mentioned, our particular situation had us coming, and I'm reclaiming or claiming my citizenship through ancestry, bloodline. So I come here and say, I'm living here, and I wouldn't call it a visa, but you get a special situation where you get to stay as the person applying with the documentation for as long as it takes. And I believe you have to check into that. You can work, now there's a new law, while doing that as the person applying for reclaiming, your birthright through roots. So you come and you stay, and eventually it could be 3 months. Italy, piano, things move slowly. It could be, I believe, legally 180 days they have to get it. But, if it stretches, it is Italy. So that's the time frame. If you have a family, if you have a spouse, here's where the interesting situation is. And if you're doing it before coming, you could go through an immigration attorney. And please, I probably advise you, if you don't want a headache, that might be easier. It really might. But you come, you bring your spouse and worry, because technically they say when you read you have 90 days, your spouse has to leave because they're not you.
One of the misnomers that people have is after the 90 days of travel that any American can have
on your U.S. passport,
that a non-EU spouse would have to go back to America until let's
one
just say
qualifying
the one
for dual
qualifying
citizenship.
gets the dual citizenship, and then I would have been able to come back. That is not the case
In our situation.
in Italy. Once again, our friend Nelson, who will join us in a later video,
He
has
helps with
said
citizenship
that
and residency.
Italy is not one that is going to break up families. They're not wanting to do that. They don't want to do that. So basically, while Justin is in the process of doing his Jure Sanguinis, we were actually both able to get residency
Grab
in
your card while
Italy.
your purse handy.
So it's I mean,
Yeah,
this
we're
is
not
all
the
stuff
subject.
we'll go over later with in a future video with Nelson, but
We don't want to get too wordy here today.
yeah, so, but basically, both of us now have residency in Italy. So
We actually applied. You go to the post office. You actually get this little stamp at the tobacco shop for your document. It's interesting. You get a little 16-euro stamp that
at the tobacco shop.
that's where you do it here for things that are like, I guess, the U.S. equivalent to going to a notary at a bank, for instance. Here you get a little stamp at the tobacco shop. You put that to make the document official. You go to a post office. You turn your paperwork into your region, all filled out, claiming your residency, address, everything, all of your information. Then you wait for the police to come to your house. It takes up to 45 days to prove you live there, and then the next step. So it's steps in process. Meanwhile, you wait, and then afterwards you get to apply for your residency card once they approve that first step. And then ours, it takes about 2 weeks or so, up to possibly a month for the plastic card to be made. And then everything can start with the plastic card. You can buy a car and different things like that. But we will explain cars a whole other video. So it's a whole procedure, but it's well worth it. And then your spouse, in our case, got his residency permit card too. It's not the permit, excuse me. So it's being inscripted in a comune, just a residency card.
Carta di identità,
Exactly.
I believe is what they're called.
And all the legal permit and all that stuff, that's its own procedures for 5 years in validity. So we're in the first step because I am in the process of applying for my Jure Sanguinis dual citizenship. That is the status that we are at for legally being able to live here, me and my spouse. So on a future video, we will get longer in the process with our lovely friend Nelson. He's a lovely friend we've met who's Italian, and he is so kind. He helps so many folks out with the residency and and foreigners and stuff. He's very helpful. We'll sit down with him and go over the full chart and speak from an expert point of view on that. But I hope we kind of gave you the nutshell for our personal situation because of my lovely spouse getting to stay with me as I apply for dual citizenship. We are just the happiest people in the world for that.